Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into some interesting source material excerpts focusing on Steven Sasser's book, Clarity.
That's right. We're pulling out the key stuff, the insights, really.
Especially for you, our listener. Someone who wants to get the gist quickly, loves those aha moments, but maybe doesn't want to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it focused.
So today, it's all about the character Aarav from Clarity. We're looking at his first steps towards finding clarity and living more intentionally.
And seeing what practical takeaways there are, for anyone feeling a bit stuck or looking for more focus.
Okay, so let's jump in. The source material really starts with Aarav feeling. Well, how would you describe it?
Adrift, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, adrift is a good word. He's not miserable, exactly, but he's definitely questioning things. Like, what am I actually doing?
Right, that feeling of having responsibilities, an okay job, but no real purpose driving it all.
Precisely. That quiet dissatisfaction, it's very relatable, I think, a super common starting point.
And then he just stumbles upon this book, Clarity, almost by accident.
Yeah, it's like buried in his old stuff, a book he bought and forgot about.
And the first page just grabs him, right? That line.
Developing clarity in your life is crucial for making informed decisions and achievements. Bang.
It speaks right to that feeling he couldn't quite name.
Totally. It validates that sense that something's missing. And the book doesn't waste time. It gets right into defining clarity.
Which is
Basically understanding your real priority, holding on to what actually matters to you, and cutting out the noise, the distractions.
removing distractions. That sounds simple, but probably isn't.
Well, no. And then there's that other line that hits Aarav hard.
Which one?
A clear vision allows you to navigate challenges more effectively.
Okay. So it forces the question.
Exactly. What is my vision? Aarav asks himself. What do I really want?
And he realizes he doesn't know.
He has no idea. And that's a big moment, isn't it? That self-awareness shows how easily we can just drift along, reacting to things.
Without that guiding star, as you said.
Yeah, living reactively. So the book gives him a tool, a first step.
The exercise.
The exercise. Write down the 5 most important things in your life.
Sounds straightforward enough, almost like a standard goal-setting thing.
It is, but the power isn't just in the listing. It's in the next step. The honest look at reality.
So what does Aarav list? Things like?
The big ones, really. Family, health, career, financial independence, and peace of mind.
Pretty standard stuff, things most of us would value.
Right. But then he compares that list to his actual life, and, well,
It doesn't match up.
not even close. No real time for family, his gym membership, completely unused, career's kind of stalled, money's a constant worry, and peace of mind, forget it.
Oof. That's a tough realization.
It is. He feels nervous, the source says, but also relieved.
Relieved, how so?
Because he finally understands why he's feeling stuck. He's diagnosed the problem,
Oh, right. It's uncomfortable, but now he knows what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the book gives immediate advice. Spot your distractions. Stop sweating the small stuff.
Okay.
And this key idea, pause and reflect. When you feel confused, just stop for a second. Think. What's the purpose of what I'm about to do?
That sounds like a really practical tool. Just
Pausing. Super practical. Aarav decides he's going to consciously do that for the next week. Just pause before acting.
so how does that play out? Does he get tested?
Oh, almost immediately. His friend Akash calls, wants to do a spontaneous trip to Goa. Fun, right?
Yeah, tempting.
Yeah,
Especially if you're feeling a bit blah.
totally. But Aarav pauses. He thinks about his priorities, specifically financial freedom.
And Goa trips aren't exactly free.
Exactly. So he politely declines, even though part of him wants to go.
Interesting. He overrides the impulse.
He does. And his friend gives him grief. Yeah, you've become boring, that sort of thing.
How does Aarav react to that?
He's okay with it. That new clarity, that alignment, it makes him less bothered by what others think.
That's a powerful shift.
It is. Then another test comes at work. His boss offers a new project, but it means definite overtime.
Okay, so good for the career maybe, but
But Irv pauses again. Thinks about health, family time, those priorities he listed.
Yeah.
He respectfully turns it down, too. He's starting to consistently apply this clarity filter.
you can really see the shift happening step by step.
Yeah. And he reinforces it by starting a journal, a clarity journal.
What does he write in it?
Simple stuff, daily. 3 things. What priorities did I focus on? What distracted me? How clear were my decisions?
That's smart. Keeps it top of mind, like building a muscle.
Exactly. It helps him track his progress, see the patterns.
And then there's that moment with his son, right? The drawing.
Ah, yeah, that's a lovely bit. His son interrupts him while he's deep in thought about all this.
And it makes him realize something.
Yeah, that clarity isn't just about lists and journals, it's about feeling it, living it in those small moments. So he decides, right then, the next weekend is purely for family.
That's the real application, isn't it? Not just the theory.
Absolutely. Which flows perfectly into the next big idea from the book,
Which is,
live with intentionality.
okay, so moving beyond just knowing your priorities to actually acting on them proactively.
Precisely. It's about aligning your daily actions with those bigger goals you've now identified. Aarav's thinking shifts from what do I want to, okay, how do I actually make that happen?
So how does the book suggest starting with intentionality?
First step, define your intentions clearly at the start of each day, like a mini plan.
Give me an example from Aarav.
Okay, so one day his intentions are have dinner with the family, spend some time reviewing financial goals, and limit social media to just 15 minutes.
Simple, concrete things.
Yeah, but it gives him a kind of roadmap for the day, helps him avoid just, drifting or reacting randomly, sets that internal compass.
And did that get tested too?
Of course, life happens. His wife, Nandini, reminds him about their dinner plan, but then an urgent work meeting pops up for the same time.
Ah, the classic dilemma. Work versus family.
Right. But because he'd set that intention, he consciously chooses the family dinner. He communicates clearly with his boss, finds a way to manage the work thing later.
And it works out.
It does, and it makes him realize that intentional living really values those everyday moments, not just big achievements.
That's a nice insight. So setting daily intentions is step one. What's next?
Being proactive, not reactive, trying to shape situations to align with your goals rather than just letting things happen to you.
Okay, how does Aarav practice that?
Well, there's this situation at work where a colleague, Samir, is unexpectedly absent, leading to a heavier workload.
The typical reaction might be stress, complaining.
Right. But Aarav intentionally reframes it.
Mm.
He sees it as a chance to step up, an opportunity related to his career priority.
So he takes on the extra work.
He does, but proactively. He agrees, but also clearly asks for the resources he'll need to succeed.
Smart. Taking control rather than just being dumped on.
Exactly. And it pays off. He gets positive recognition later. He aligned the situation with his goals.
Okay, so daily intentions, being proactive.
Yeah.
What else for intentionality?
The third thing is breaking down those big long-term goals into small daily actions. The source uses his goal of financial independence as the example.
Makes sense. You can't achieve financial freedom overnight.
Nope. So Aarav gets specific. He analyzes his monthly spending, finds those unnecessary subscriptions, the impulse online shopping,
We all have those leaks.
don't we? And he creates a simple rule. Pause before any non-essential purchase. Just take a beat.
Like that pause and reflect idea again, but for spending.
Exactly. There's an example where he's about to buy some expensive gadget. He
Yeah.
pauses, realizes it doesn't fit his bigger financial goal, and puts it back.
It's those small choices adding up.
That's the core of it, finding purpose even in saying no to a purchase because it serves a larger goal. Every decision feels more meaningful.
And I guess part of intentionality is also learning to say no more broadly.
Definitely. Saying no to things, requests, invitations, whatever, that just don't align with your priorities. It's crucial for creating space.
Aarav finds that helpful.
Yeah, he feels like he has more time and energy for what matters. There's an example with his friend Rajat inviting him to a party.
Let me guess. Aarav says no.
He does, politely, because he's focusing on his health goals and late night parties don't fit. Rajat isn't thrilled, apparently.
Yeah, saying no can be hard socially.
It can. But Aarav sticks to his intentional choice.
But is intentionality always about being rigid?
Hmm.
Saying no all the time?
Good question. No, the book adds an important nuance. It's about reasoned flexibility, too. Meaning, sometimes compromising or adjusting is the intentional choice if it serves a bigger purpose. Aarav faces a situation where he's asked to change a project timeline.
And instead of a flat no,
He thinks, does being flexible here actually support my larger career goals? In this case, maybe cooperating makes sense. It's about being purposeful, even in compromise.
so it's not a dogma, it's a practice, an ongoing thing.
Exactly. Intentionality is dynamic, and Aarav captures that thought in his journal. Something like,
Live each day with purpose.
so that when you look back, you don't regret how you spent your time. Powerful stuff.
It really is. And that feeling of purpose, of making conscious choices, it seems like it would naturally lead to thinking about balance.
You got it. That's the next chapter the source material covers, balance.
Okay, what's the core idea there?
Achieving, a better equilibrium
Hmm?
across the main areas: work, relationships, health, personal growth. Because, as the book says,
Let me guess. Imbalance causes problems.
pretty much, when one area of your life keeps disturbing you again and again, imbalance causes stress and dissatisfaction.
Rings true. Aarav recognizes this in himself.
Immediately, he knows things are out of whack.
So how do you start fixing imbalance? What are the steps?
First, just like with clarity, you identify where the imbalance is. Aarav looks at those 4 pillars.
Work, relationships, health, growth.
Right, and he sees work's taking over everything, relationships feel strained, health is neglected, personal growth is kind of random, it's a clear picture.
Okay, diagnosis done.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then you set boundaries. Actively create dedicated time and space for each area.
Like what? What does Aarav do?
He sets some initial rules. No work emails or calls after 7 p.m. Weekends need dedicated family time, like an outing. 30 minutes of exercise daily. And consistent time for personal development.
Those sound like good, concrete boundaries. Do they get tested?
Instantly. An urgent email comes in at 7:01 p.m. the very first night.
No, of course it does.
But he holds firm. He recognizes it can probably wait until morning. He sticks to the boundary. That reinforces it.
Okay, boundaries are key. What else for balance?
Prioritizing without guilt. This is a big one.
Meaning?
Balance doesn't mean spending equal time on everything. That's impossible. It means giving each important thing the time it actually deserves without feeling bad about not doing something else.
Can you give an example?
Aarav decides Sunday is purely for family. A friend asks to meet up casually. Aarav declines, explaining it's family day, and he doesn't feel guilty about prioritizing that.
Letting go of that should be doing everything guilt.
Exactly. And another crucial point, taking care of yourself first.
Ah, the old put your own oxygen mask on first idea.
Precisely. The book uses the empty cup analogy. You can't pour from an empty cup. Your health and well-being are foundational.
So Aarav gets back to the gym.
Yep. Renews that membership, starts daily walks, pays more attention to his diet, and notices the positive effects: better mood, more energy for work. It's not selfish, it's essential.
Makes total sense. Is that it for balance strategies?
One more key thing. Balance isn't a destination you reach and stay at, it's an ongoing process.
So you have to keep checking in.
Right. The book suggests regularly evaluating and adjusting. Aarav starts doing a monthly check-in on those 4 pillars. He sees maybe weekend family time needs a bit more focus, so he adjusts his plans.
It's a continuous balancing act, literally.
It really is, never perfectly static.
Okay, so after clarity, intentionality, and balance, where does Aarav's journey take him next?
To dealing with clutter. The chapter is called Get Rid of Junk.
Junk, like physical stuff.
That's part of it, but it's broader. The book defines it as physical, mental, and emotional clutter. All the stuff that gets in the way of clarity and achieving goals.
Okay, that's interesting. How does Aarav approach that?
He's a bit confused at first, but the book gives him another exercise. Make 3 columns, physical, mental, emotional, and list the junk in each.
What kind of things does he list?
Physical clutter, clothes he never wears, broken things lying around, stacks of paper. Mental clutter, that messy to-do list, constant social media scrolling, unfinished tasks nagging him.
And emotional clutter, that sounds heavier.
It is. Things like unresolved arguments, grudges he's holding on to, guilt about past mistakes, all that internal baggage.
Wow. Seeing it listed like that must be revealing.
Definitely. And the book makes a great point. Your physical environment often reflects your mental state. Cluttered desk, cluttered mind sort of thing.
So does Aarav start decluttering?
He does. He tackles his wardrobe first, makes those 3 piles. Keep, donate, throw away.
The classic declutter method.
It works. And he feels lighter, more mentally organized just from clearing that physical space.
Okay, physical clutter checked. What about mental?
He tackles his to-do list, gets ruthless about prioritizing what really matters, maybe delegates or deletes other things. And he sets firm limits on social media time, reduces the constant input.
Cutting down the noise again.
Exactly. Then comes the emotional clutter. This takes courage.
What does he do?
He actually calls his friend Rajat, the one who was upset about the party, to clear the air. He emails a colleague to resolve a misunderstanding, and he works on forgiving himself for past mistakes.
Those sound like Difficult but really important actions.
Huge, because releasing that emotional weight frees up so much mental energy. And as the book suggests, when you clear away all this junk, physical, mental, emotional clarity just naturally increases.
Like clearing fog from a window.
Perfect analogy. Aarav notes in his journal how clearing each type of clutter specifically helped him feel less stressed and more focused.
This is a really holistic approach, mind, body, environment.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it sets the stage for the next idea, which is about actively bringing new things in.
Ooh, what's that?
The chapter is called The Power of Exposure.
Exposure? Exposure to what?
To new ideas, new people, new experiences, stepping outside your comfort zone. The book argues that's where real growth and deeper clarity often happen.
So moving beyond just organizing your current life to actively expanding it.
Exactly. Aarav realizes his routine, even with the improvements, has become a bit, well, routine, a bit monotonous.
Understandable. So another exercise.
You guessed it. List 5 new things you want to try, things that maybe scare you a little or feel unfamiliar.
What's on Aarav's list?
Let's see. Learn to play the guitar, take a solo trip, talk to a colleague he usually avoids, explore a different culture, do some volunteer work.
That's a pretty diverse list. Covers different kinds of stretching.
It does, and the source describes his experiences trying these things. Learning guitar, for instance.
How does that go? Is he instantly amazing?
No, far from it. He's nervous, makes tons of mistakes, feels awkward. But then he manages a simple tune and finds this unexpected joy in just learning something new, messing up, enjoying the process.
It's not about becoming a rock star. It's about the experience itself.
Precisely. Then, the solo trip to Himachal, he's worried about being bored, lonely.
Common fears for solo travel.
Right. But he finds loneliness isn't scary. It's actually quite peaceful. And he has these amazing random interactions with locals and other travelers. It opens his eyes to how different people live, inspires him.
Learning from unexpected sources.
Yeah. Then there's talking to the colleague, Niharika. He pushes past the awkwardness, finds they have common interests, and it actually improves their working relationship.
So exposure can just be about connecting differently with people already around you.
Absolutely. Opening your mind. Same with exploring South Indian culture through another colleague, Srinivas. Trying new food, learning about festivals. It just broadens his perspective.
And the volunteering.
He volunteers at an NGO with kids. Again, initial nerves, but then he learns so much from them. One kid asks him about dreaming big, making him realize dreams aren't limited by circumstances.
Wow. That's profound.
Isn't it? It shifts his understanding of growth beyond just career stuff. It's about empathy, perspective.
So these acts of exposure, they create subtle shifts.
Subtle but powerful shifts in his thinking, his understanding of the world, and ultimately his own clarity. It broadens his definition of a meaningful life.
And the book's final advice on this?
Basically, never stop. Never stop exposing yourself to the unknown. Every new experience adds a layer to your understanding.
Keep learning, keep growing, keep stepping out.
That's the message. And Aarav commits to trying one new thing every single month, making it an ongoing practice.
That's a great commitment. So wrapping up this part of Aarav's journey.
Yeah, as we finish this deep dive into these initial chapters of clarity, we've really seen those foundational steps laid out.
Identifying priorities first, getting that basic clarity.
Then moving into intentionality, making conscious daily choices aligned with those priorities.
Striving for balance across the different parts of life, work, home, health.
Getting rid of the clutter, physical, mental, emotional junk that holds you back.
And finally, the power of exposure, actively seeking new experiences to keep growing and refining that clarity.
It's quite a roadmap.
It really is. And hopefully, for you listening, our learner, this has pulled out some practical, actionable ideas from the source, things you can actually think about applying.
Yeah, maybe just start small.
Exactly. So here's a final thought to take away. Think about just one small area in your life right now. Could applying one of these principles even slightly make a difference?
Clarity, intentionality, balance, decluttering, exposure.
Just pick one. What's one tiny step you could maybe take today or this week, inspired by Aarav's journey?
And perhaps, like Aarav, exploring these first steps makes you wonder what other insights are waiting.
What further lessons might be found in clarity on that ongoing path to focus and purpose? Something to consider.